Picture the scene. You're out on a quiet street. You're listening to a podcast. Suddenly you're approached by brightly haired women wearing pansexual pride flags as capes. They remind you to drink plenty of water and to text your friends more often. The pavement turns into rainbows and it's raining shiny glitter. You're not on drugs. You've entered the Queer and Pleasant Strangers zone.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Spaganet, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where two queer trans ladies talk about our weeks and do silly voices and skits and generally just try and make each other have a bit of a giggle and catch up on what we've been doing when we've not been in the same place as each other in the week.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
It's been really heckin' good.
We've had a good one this week, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had some big stuff this week.
Yeah, we had some big things. We
Yeah.
we went out partying. That
We
was
out.
pretty big.
That was good.
Had a very good night partying.
We did. We
But-
partied well, we danced well, we chatted to many friends and stuff.
The theme of the night out we went on involved rainbows, which is a thing we're both very on board with. We like
I had
lots of
all
colour.
of the kit for that.
We already had many rainbow things to wear.
Mhm.
And ray guns, which is like, that's just like flashing coloured lights. That's great.
Yeah, so I spent at least half an hour of that ducking round corners with my light-up ray guns. Because I forgot to pack my bubble solution for my bubble guns, so I just
Aw.
had bright, shiny lights that I could sort of duck around corners, and occasionally getting hit in the face with Nerf guns.
See,
Lots of people with Nerf guns.
I own many plastic ray guns, basically from the era that I was doing My Chemical Romance Danger Days costumes, because like that was a thing I did for a while. Jane is mouthing na na na
Na na na na na na na.
from All Security. Yeah, and, I'll sing that whole song verbatim if I have to.
Ooh.
So it was very nice to have an excuse to be like, haha, it's been a few years since that album came out. Now there's an excuse for me to get out. Is there a small child screaming outside our home?
There is. I think somebody set fire to them.
Okay. Yeah, it was a nice excuse to get out my ray guns and be like, they do all flashy things and light up. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Mm.
Yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about a week that doesn't fit into those categories?
I'm sure there was something else. But
Oh,
we'll
I'm
probably
sure
bring that up later.
there's something else. I'm sure we'll remember it before the end.
Yeah.
There's, something that we did this week.
I started my BSL course.
Oh, I need to find that website or that app you've been using because it looks really useful.
Yeah, I've been getting faster at reading finger spelling.
Yeah, so you've been doing a thing where it'll like flash up on the screen several like finger spelt British Sign Language letters, and you have to type in what the letters spelt.
Yes.
Yeah, which seems like a good thing.
Yeah, I still occasionally get confused by the I's and the O's. For doing because your non-dominant hand will be from thumb to little finger will be A-E-I-O-U. And for some reason I keep getting I and O round the wrong way. And you've said you have a similar problem.
Yeah, I get the A and the U. I can do at that like really fast speed you were doing. The E-I-O, I have to stop and count around the fingers to get to.
The E-I-E-I-O.
For anyone that's interested in learning BSL, what is this resource you're using?
Hang on.
Are you gonna have to look this up? Because I've been asking you about this. I wanna see this myself.
The best way to nail me down.
This is the best way to get you to actually like tell me what this is to make you look it up on the podcast.
It's british-sign.co.uk.
And is this?
And I think it's about £19-20, and that will get you access to the course for a year. And I think you get access to the course work bits for longer than that. It might be 2 years, but unfortunately, a lot of it's Java powered, so it doesn't really work on my phone. But I do plan to sit down in front of my PC and do the learning numbers.
Yeah.
I think I've learnt one version of numbers, but apparently after you get to 5, there are 3 UK regional variations on 6 to 10.
Oh gosh.
So that's what a fun one to work out. I know a version of 6 to 10, but
yeah, it's one of those. I've been wanting to get back into BSL for the longest time, and we need to do this together because both of us want to do it.
Yep.
I made a new friend when
You
we were
did?
out on our night out who mainly speaks BSL.
Mhm.
They very usefully also had a tablet with them that night, so we were able to type stuff back and forth because I was like, I know a little bit of BSL, but it's not very good, and unless you want me finger spelling my conversations, it's going to take a while.
I can ask your name and stuff.
I can do basic conversational bits, but much beyond that, I'll try again next time. But I want to, like, next time that I see them when we're out on a night out dancing, it'd be nice to be able to slightly more confidently sign with them. So yeah.
And I've been watching more YouTube videos because there's lots of groups or individuals that do BSL videos. I can't remember the names of any of the channels yet, but I will probably bring that up in a future episode.
If anyone has any
I'm getting
really
more into my BSL.
Yeah, if anyone's got any really good recommendations, please send them my way. And,
Definitely.
yeah, send them our way. Alright, shall we jump into the first segment of the show?
Leaps wildly towards the first section of the show.
What have we played this week?
Oh, hang on, I'm not on that page.
I'm not on that bit of the list. Do you want to scroll up?
Well,
Finding what I played.
I've finally finished The Way Remastered.
Oh, how'd you find it?
It turned into slightly bullshit platforming towards the end.
That's not a game known for its good precision platforming, huh?
It went from quite an interesting little puzzle game with some platforming in it, in a sort of flashback, another world style goodness, which I was sort of very much enjoying. To harder puzzles, and then just absolute bullshit platforming, and some of the puzzles were pretty fucking evil. But while I was trying to work it out, I realised that obviously the remastered version is slightly different to the original. They've actually made it easier. Like some of the puzzles were just monumental bullshit.
They're still bullshit, but they're slightly less bullshit.
They are, and I'm very glad I didn't play the original because having watched some of these videos, it's like, perhaps you thought your game was a bit short and you needed to extend it, but there's one puzzle that I got to where you're piloting this little drone around, and I was like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. It doesn't seem to be doing what I want it to do. I finally worked it out and I managed to do the solution. And I got stuck on the next bit to the point where I was convinced that I was just in the wrong place and I had to go somewhere else. Because this jumping puzzle felt just so very wrong. Like, maybe there's something I pull and it gets rid of one of these spike pits, and that's how I get across. No, it turns out that it's just this ridiculous bit of precision jumping while you're sliding down a hill. And I think that was something like 40 minutes of me just constantly dying, falling down this hill. Luckily, they've moved the spawn point from the original version of the game because it used to take you much further back. So yes, it was nice to look at. It had some interesting graphics, and for at least most of the game, it was quite fun. But towards the end, it does turn into absolute bullshit.
A little bit of a chore to get to the end of.
Yeah, and then there are a few puzzles towards the end of that don't explain themselves at all. You just have to fiddle them about with them, almost brute force them until something happens, and then you start to get an idea of how it works. Kind of shit. But yeah, what you play?
I can talk about a game now I went and played last week at Sega's UK offices. I went and played a very small demo of Team Sonic Racing. So basically, the best way I can describe this game is if you've played games like, say, Mario Kart, is probably like the obvious comparison. You sort of kart races, you pick up items, you fire weapons and stuff. Yes. Like, yeah, I'm going to fire some things, shoot some other people, try and come in first place. It's all a bit cartoonish and exaggerated. It's that with Sonic characters, but there's something different about this one. And the thing that's different is, rather than being like just racing as an individual and being like, I came first, therefore I did best in that race, you race as a team of 3. So you've got 12 vehicles on track, 4 teams of 3, and each team of 3 gets... Each person in that team gets scored based on how well they do. So, you know how in Mario Kart, if you come in first, you get, 15 points. Whoever comes in second gets 12 or whatever it is. Those point allocations still happen, but then they add up your team and they go, okay, well, you got first, but someone in your team got 8th and someone got 9th, so your team came, second overall. And the idea of this is to encourage players to not just go, I'm the best at racing, I win, but to be like, no, I'm going to work as a team. And the way that you work as a team is you've got a bunch of team-based abilities. So, you know, in, say, a Mario Kart, you're in first place and you get a shell and you're like, really, I don't need this. There's no reason I would need this shell in first. I'm ahead of everyone. You've got button, you can offer it to your teammates. If your teammates are behind you, you can say, hey, either of you want this item, and one of them can go, yeah, I'll accept it. It warps over to them, and then they've got an item to try and get further ahead. Conversely, if you're lagging behind and you, I need something to help, you can request and go, hey, any of my team got an item they don't need, they can pass it over to you. There's a lot of things that you can do collaboratively that are if you're near another racer on your team, you can both get a speed boost if you drive sort of in line with each other. If you do lots of collaborative things together and spend lots of time near each other on the track, you'll get a big speed boost for your team. And basically it just encourages a little more cooperation and takes away a little bit of that issue that you can have with games like Mario Kart, where you have that one person at the party who's played it up to 200cc, played every kart backwards in mirror mode, in reversing with no items, and they play with other people and it's this is not fun, we know who's going to win. It's now a little bit no, we've all got to do well. They've got to, stick back and help the team, which I really enjoyed. It was a very limited demo. There was one track and 2 teams to try out, and I think it was only single player in the demo, but what I played was really interesting. I had a lot of fun with it.
Any particularly interesting characters?
It was the most predictable 6 characters they could have put in a Sonic racing game. You could play as the team that was Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, or you could play as Team Dark, which was Shadow the Hedgehog, Rouge the Bat, and Omega the Robot, I think. The people from... The Bat and the Robot from Shadow the Hedgehog were in there. But
I've never played Shadow.
I need to show you that game someday so you can see how terrible it was and why I love it so much.
Will we be playing MCR in the background while playing?
It won't be MCR, but it might as well be.
Ooh, how about some Fallout Boy?
I was about to sing a song, pretend and go oh yeah, this is a song from Shadow the Hedgehog. No, it was what I was about to sing was actually a song from a Yu-Gi-Oh movie, but it was tonally very similar. If anyone out there has watched Yu-Gi-Oh! The first movie, Kaiba's song when he's in the Kaiba jet, that's "Don't say if I were you," or "Tell me what you'd do if you were in my shoes, 'cause you're not me." That very angsty song. It feels like it'd be at home in a Shadow the Hedgehog. But yeah, I didn't get to see a great deal of that game, but what I played seemed really fun. I'm the focus on co-op is a really good idea for this game, because most of the Sega Sonic racing games have kind of just lived in the shadow of Mario Kart. It's it's not as good as Mario Kart, but it's multi-platform, I guess. This is something that really sets this one apart, so go them.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you? What else have you played?
I haven't really had time to play anything else. I did download the Pokemon Quest with the Pokemon that looked like they're from Zookeeper.
They look like the sort of little Lego blocky creature things.
Zookeeper.
Oh yeah,
and that sort of pixel blocky style.
That's the only other thing I've played this week. So shall I talk a bit about it, because I played some of it?
Tell us about the thing that you got to play.
So, Pokemon Quest is a new little Pokemon game that's on the Switch at the moment. I think it's coming to phones soon. And it definitely feels like a mobile game. I would honestly rather play this on a phone than the Switch, because it's the kind of game I want to pull out for 5 minutes on a train, mess around with for a second, and then put away. I don't want to take my Switch out to play this. It's kind of an RTS, kind of an MMO type thing, but very, very simplified. Your Pokemon run around a field battling other Pokemon. They do auto attacks. You've got cooldown timers for a couple of other attacks, like one of which might be a strong forward attack and one might be an area of effect or something.
Okay, so like Xenoblade.
Kind of like your Xenoblade. You can set the thing to almost like auto run, so you can be like automatically run towards enemies and automatically do your auto attack if you want. And most of it is just manage your team and your team's attacks, get resources, power up your Pokemon, get some new Pokemon into your park, keep going out, fight some more Pokemon. It's a fun little distraction. It's very clearly a mobile game in that you can do 5 levels a day, or not per day, I think it's like 22 hours that there's this timer. It's like, you ran out of energy, either pay or wait 22 hours. It's one of those kind of things.
Do you think you would consider paying for it?
Here's the thing. If I could pay 15 quid and just go, 15, 20 quid and go, turn off the
game.
Yeah, turn off the timer, I have the game, I would probably sit at home and play this and play the whole thing through and really enjoy it and happily give them that 20 quid. As it is now, I don't want to give them money, because you can give them money to speed up the timer, not to get rid of it entirely. And that's like, even if I... That's the thing, it's even if I spend money, I'm still not going to be able to play this game as much as I would like, whenever I would like.
Do we know how much faster it is?
There's a percentage. It wasn't amazing.
It wasn't enough that you could continuously play the game.
It wasn't enough that I would feel I could just keep playing to my heart's desire without having to think about the timer. So that's a bit of a shame. And when it comes out on phones, I might well pick it up again, because those kind of timer-based things, I'll totally pull that out for like half an hour at lunch, mess around with it on my phone, put my phone away, come back to it a day later. But I don't want to play my Switch that way. Like, a console, I want to be able to sit down and just play a game through while I've got the chance.
Yeah, it is out on mobiles, isn't it?
It is coming to mobile.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I heard someone say it wasn't out yet on mobile. I think it was within the month, but I might be wrong. Yeah, that's all I've played this week. Anything else for you?
Nope, that's it. That's us played.
Right, well, in that case, time for another thing.
Hey kids! Do you want to play the latest game that all the cool kids are playing?
Yeah!
Do you want to learn what to do to escape from the terrifying, crippling debt of previous generations?
Yay!
That's why all the kids are slowly becoming socialists and communists.
Yay!
That's right, kids.
Voiceover person, how do we become a socialist or communist? That's easy, kids. You just ignore everything the previous generations did, scrimp and save, and hope that they've not fucked you up too badly.
Reject money. Reject capitalism.
Be nice.
You can do it.
Be nice to the people around you. Support those less fortunate.
That's right. And remember, no platform those bigots.
Yay, this sounds like the best game. You're right. Hello, Janice.
Hello, Agnes.
Oh, I brought around my Xbox, the Xbox One today.
Yes, very good.
So we can play some of that Call of Duty.
Yes, it's got my headset on. Let's pound some noobs. What?
Oh yes. Oh, get down, you fucking scrub.
Yeah, get down, scrub. Smile, bring us more sherry and pounding noobs.
Oh, I need another brandy with which to increase my kill streak.
Yes, oh goodness. That's quite a strong one. Another of those. Probably true in a straw.
That headshot is not fair. We had lag. It was lag's fault. It wasn't because we've had too many sherries, no.
Too much lag. I'm going to phone up the internet service provider and have very serious words. I fucking scrubs. I'm trying to get all these...
Where's my CD-ROM with which I get my 30 minutes free internet? Where did I put that?
I think I've been using it as a coaster, dear.
Oh, yeah, well, there's probably a phone number on that AOL disk that'll tell us how to get them to fix the internet so they stop killing us.
Yes, serious lag. What's your ping, dear?
Yeah, I haven't pinged in a very long time, actually. It's a rather embarrassing state of affairs.
We can arrange to have someone ping you if you need.
Oh, goodness.
We have the technology.
Right. Well, we've only got one round left on the match.
Oh no, the battery's running out on my bloody controller.
Oh goodness, I told you should have got the PS4. You can plug a rechargeable cable into that. You don't have to put batteries in.
I'm an Xbox girl through and through. None of you PlayStation noobs.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm actually quite a Switch girl myself.
I've heard about you being a Switch, dear.
Well, till next time, dear.
Yes. Right, should we start up another round of sherries?
So, what have you put in your eye holes?
What have I put in my eye holes?
Yeah.
The main thing I put in my eye holes is we went and saw that Han Solo film last night.
Yeah, we did.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
A Star Wars story.
A Star Wars story. What do you think of the Solos?
It was entertaining.
I think it suffered from... I'm going to be a little critical at first. I think it suffered from the same problem that Rogue One suffered with, in that I don't think its opening 30 minutes is great. I think that it spends a bit too long going, here's not really a good idea of the overarching plot, and we're kind of telling you things and trying to get through a lot of plot quickly to get to the bit we actually want to tell you.
We're establishing a universe you've literally never seen before, because you've usually got so much background from previous Star Wars.
Here's the thing, like, that new Solo Star Wars film, it starts with a title crawl explaining Han Solo is he's on a planet, it's not very good there, and you gotta steal to get by, but he doesn't want to have that life forever. And I was reading that and then watched the opening of the film, and I was like, we could have picked that up from context.
Gotta steal to
like,
gotta be to live, gotta tell you all about it when I got that time.
See, I'm like, there are things about that opening where I'm like, don't explain to us, just show us that opening cool chase scene he
Show,
did.
no tell.
Yeah, show, no tell. And I think they definitely, like, tried to rush through a lot of, like, things that deserved more time to them. Like, there's that whole bit where it goes 3 years later, and then suddenly they've just leapt into a very intense moment you have to care about. I didn't think, like, that...
But I don't think we needed that 3 years.
Yeah, I agree, but I also would go, like, they tried to jump from important moment to important moment and didn't really bridge them very well. There was a lot of just, here's the thing, okay, now's the modern day plot. That's what making complaints. Also, predict that main plot. It was easy to predict what that main plot was going to be. Han Solo, what's he famous for, huh?
Smooching women without permission.
I was going to go more for Kessel Runs.
Yeah.
But, like, those are some complaints I have, but overall, like, I had a fun night at the cinema. Like, it.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I think, like, in a different way, it did suffer from the same problem that Rogue One had. It's almost like with a Star Wars series, a Star Wars story series, there it's more sort of gritty, edgy, fanboy fan service, which is interesting because the edgy fanboys that I see online really seem to like those films. I wanted darker. And then you've got the main series that is a bit more family friendly.
I wonder how much of the fan servicey stuff is down to the fact that these are, by their very nature, retconned prequel stories. Yeah. It's like we've got to fit these into existing architecture, so we can't wildly branch who these characters are, so we might as well do a bunch of referencing to who they're known to be. Yeah,
and I mentioned last night that I felt that this one was quite fan servicey in other ways as well. I can't remember what the first one was now. I remember the second one that I couldn't remember last night. So there was obviously the whole Kessel Run issue. He's a bit of a rogue. We meet Chewie and see how that all got going. And the bit that just had me sort of giggling quietly in the cinema was the mention of Teras Kazi, and all I could think about was that god-awful PS1 game, Masters of Teras Kazi.
So, like, I think my ultimate takeaway from that film was, like, it was an enjoyable film, for sure. Like, it was not the best Star Wars film by a long shot. It was, you know, it had a weirdly paced intro, and it, you know, was just kind of, like, playing a lot of things very safe, but I very much enjoyed the actor who played Han. I thought he was, like, a really good young Han.
He was a good young Han.
I loved the Han and Chewie interactions we got. Like,
Yeah.
the story of how, like, they came together and, like, all their interactions, really heckin' good.
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of really good humour to it.
I thought Donald Glover was a very good Lando.
Oh, he was a great Lando. He was pretty fab. We had a more diverse cast than I was expecting, because I was just expecting this to be there's the man goes to save the day Star Wars film. It's like, no, there's some cool diverse stuff going on.
We saw some early Rebellion stuff, which was quite nice.
It was a good, enjoyable film. Like, I'm not gonna be rushing back to, like, rewatch this the way I did episode 7 and 8. I think one thing this really did for me is it really solidified for me why I enjoyed episode 7 and 8 so much. Is that they're not trying so hard to fit with what's come before, and they're just giving themselves a bit more room to be like, let's have a bit of fun. Let's tell fun.
Be creative.
Let's be creative and tell some fun new stories in this world.
It was nice to see some new Stormtrooper. Sort of styles, because, like, obviously they are the bad guys, and we're not supposed to like them at all. But I do really like a lot of the Empire designs, ship designs, and character designs. Not worshipping or anything, but I just think it's quite a cool style.
I also really like, as a contextual thing, and this is, like, fairly early on in the film, a fairly minor thing, Han goes and joins a war effort at one point, and I think that that's very interesting because it's very easy in stories like this to paint every soldier in an army as they're on the evil side. But I think they did a good job of going, hey, sometimes people join the military because they don't really have another option, and that's a thing that is probably true in real life a bit. Like, hey, sometimes the people who end up in wars aren't necessarily there because they care about the cause. They might just be there because... Yeah, they're there because they have no other choice, huh?
Yeah. It was visually impressive. There was some interesting character designs. With the sort of retcon ones, the Star Wars stories, I find some of the ship design stuff a little bit weird. Because unless it's sort of derivative of something that comes later, like that looks sort of a bit precursory, there's a couple of ships in that I'm just like, okay, well that's completely new, and not seen in anything else. And okay, I'm sure starship design is most of the stuff that's going to be matching is going to be obviously the military ships, which is why we see endless repeats of TIE fighters, TIE bombers, X-wings, Y-wings, B-wings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a lot of that. But yeah, visually impressive, nice. It made me want to catch up with Rebels. Won't spoil, but there was a bit in there that made me think, I think I watched Rebels up to the end of season 2.
And you're now like, I wanna see more of what's going on with that
I
thing.
want to know, and if any of that has anything to do with other tie-in stuff, because I think I know, because Rebels is one of the few things that's still canon.
Yes.
So it's nice to sort of try and squeeze that in, and I wanna get to that. But yeah, not the best Star Wars certainly, but it's certainly enjoyable. It's a good evening out.
I enjoyed it as a night out at the movies more than I've enjoyed a lot of things, even if it in the Star Wars line is like, yeah.
It's a conversation piece. And didn't you say like a quarter of the audience left?
Oh, okay, yes, a quarter of the audience did walk out 2/3 of the way in. However, in our defence, the screening only had 12 people in it, and 3 people walked out.
Yeah.
But the impression I got is that the group of three who walked out, when they were walking in, two of them, like, it was two girls and a guy, and the two women in the group were like, so what is this we're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the impression they, like, were Star Wars people.
No.
I think it was maybe a case of, like, why have you dragged us to this film in this series it's not really for, that we just don't personally enjoy.
They didn't seem to care and they were talking a lot.
Yeah, I think...
If anything, I was quite happy they left.
Oh, yeah, they were the
Hey,
loudest
it's
ones
quiet
in the
now.
screening. I think there was a certain amount of, like, okay, fine, I'll come back and watch it by
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. Have you watched anything else?
We started watching a thing that just wasn't grabbing us.
Watch the Children of the Whales.
The Children of the Whales. So we started watching this Netflix original anime series called Children of the Whales. Some people live on some like big rock whales in a sand desert, and some people have magic powers, but if you're one of... I think it's about 80% of people have magic powers, and if you have the magic powers, you live
Don't live very
considerably less time. So the people who don't have magic...
The Unmarked.
end up living longer, and as a result end up in positions of like military, government, education, because they've had more time to learn things and see the world. Which, like, I will say, for that like half an episode we watched, it reminded me a lot of the whole thing of My Hero Academia, which is like about 90% of people have superpowers, but some people don't. But it was more interesting that they did contextualise it with there is something beneficial to not having powers. It was just like very slow and weirdly paced speech. It just wasn't quite
I
grabbing
think we
me.
got about 20 minutes into it and went, let's do something else.
Yeah, it's
To be fair, we were pretty exhausted from the night before.
It's the thing, like, talking about the premise to you now, I'm like, that premise sounds interesting. It was the presentation that wasn't grabbing me.
Yeah, it's oddly animated.
Yeah.
It doesn't have as much detail as some anime.
It's got nice colour use.
It's nice colour use. The character design in itself is quite good, and for static images, it looks quite good. But when it starts moving, it feels a bit patchy.
Yeah, the thing I think that was catching me is it felt... The dialogue style felt very familiar to people who watched, like, 90s dubbed anime, where it's like, all of it is spoken in very prim and proper posh English. And
It was Funimation, wasn't it?
no, I thought it was.
Was it?
I thought it was Netflix original.
Why do I have Funimation in my head? You
Fun-
have the app.
Yeah, the Funimation app, because that's what I was watching My Hero Academia on. But yeah, it felt very much like watching something like the Inuyasha dub or the Rurouni Kenshin dub, where it's very, oh, we're going to talk in very prim and proper English, and we're going to have lots of pauses while we talk, very much like we're reading a Roald Dahl book. It's just, it feels very much like it's being sterilely read from a British children's book, more than it is how people would talk. Which I think was my issue with that first episode. I'm kind of tempted to jump back into it at some point, but it just wasn't grabbing me that day.
Yeah, certainly worth a look.
What about you?
We watched an episode of Agretsuko.
Oh,
Agretsuko?
Very much enjoyed that first episode, but it was a bit too aggy for the day we were
It was
having.
baggy. We were a bit delicate, so
We were sleepy and delicate, and this show about the
very stressed out office worker.
That's one I definitely want to go back to, because we were
Definitely.
too sleepy. We were trying to find something to like doze off to, and basically it's office
We
work.
wanted something chill and fun, and Agretsuko is...
It's
It's death metal, or thrash metal.
yeah, office worker who's like kind of depressed by their like menial dead end job, so
Their
does death
co-workers
metal
are their
karaoke.
superiors.
Yeah, and that is like top of my list to go to like watch this week.
Definitely, I would definitely go and have a look at that.
It's
It
not
seemed really
one-
interesting.
It's not one to watch at 9 a.m. when you didn't get home until 8 a.m. and you hadn't slept that night.
Yeah, and you want to watch like happy, cute things.
We
because-
watched The Good Place. We dozed on and off to The Good Place.
Yeah, let's put The Good Place on. Yeah, okay.
Here's what I remember of our morning of The Good Place. The main character arrives in The Good Place. Then she's having a conversation with another character about, oh, we're both in the same situation being in The Good Place.
I remember flying lessons sort of starting.
I don't
and the
remember that.
consequences of that.
I remember when her and her soulmate had the two other people turn up in the house.
Yep, I
And one of them
remember
was a relationship counsellor.
Yep.
Those are the three things I remember from that morning of The Good
I think
Place.
that's about where we sort of gave up, and I'm not sure how many episodes in that was, but I felt much more rested after that, so we got on with cartoons.
So, yes, the point being, Agretsuko very much enjoyed watching 25-year-old Red Panda adventure, but I was like, this is too shouty for this morning. I might watch that tomorrow evening, actually. Do you fancy some of that tomorrow night?
Some more of that.
Alright, well, we'll talk about some Agretsuko. Agretsuko?
Agretsuko.
We'll talk about that next week, I imagine.
What else you got?
The only other thing I've been watching this week is I've been watching a bunch of different channels do Let's Plays of Detroit, because I played that a while ago, and it's a choice-based game, and I've been very curious to be like, hey, what does changing these choices, what's that going to make happen in other people's playthroughs? And how are other people going to respond to that game? Because it's a divisive one, and people have had interesting responses to it. So the two playthroughs I've been watching and very much enjoying is Yogscast Hannah, who is lovely. Hi, Hannah. And the Super Best Friends. Oh, hello to them too, actually. I've been on their podcast.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went on the Super Best Friend cast a while back.
Oh, you've been on everything.
I've been on everything.
Very popular.
But I've been very much enjoying Yogscast Hannah and Super Best Friends play, both playing Detroit.
I didn't know the Yogscast was still a thing. I sort of stopped listening to them years ago.
They're occasionally still around. Like, I'm going to be honest, Hannah's the only one I still watch.
My thing with the Yogscast was, I've really got into this Minecraft thing. I wonder if there's like anyone on YouTube that does any interesting stuff. Okay. Well, these guys seem to have all the good information about this. Oh, Simon seems to be kind of a dick. Oh, Lewis is also kind of a dick. Okay, well, maybe not so bad. Oh no, definitely a dick. Okay, well, Hannah's alright, and she does stuff. Duncan seems okay. Oh, no, Duncan's kind of a dick as well. You know what? Oh, and Shin's awful. And I'm not a huge fan of... So, yeah, there's a lot of problematic stuff around those offices.
I became aware of Yogscast through a band called Area 11, who did a lot of their outro music, but I found them separately. But I'm subscribed to both Hannah and Kim, and I've not watched any of Kim's playthroughs in a while, but...
I think she was taking a break when I last watched any of her stuff, and I sort of drifted away from the Yogscast in general.
I watch little bits of their stuff sometimes. Like, I've not been watching Hannah's God of War, I know she's been playing, but I have been watching her Detroit one, so I'll jump in and out sometimes depending on the game.
I think the last Hannah thing I watched was Alley Noir.
Oh, heck.
Which gives you some idea of how long ago it was.
What about you? Have you watched anything else?
Yeah, I watched a TED Talk called A Healthy Economy Should Be Designed to Thrive and Not Grow by Kate Raworth. They're talking about how an economy must be regenerative and distributive, rather than just growing and growing for the sake of shareholders or whatever. And that towards the end she makes this really good comparison of people in business talk about growth like it is the best thing in the world. But if somebody said to you, I have a growth in an otherwise healthy system, let me do the quote. When something tries to grow forever within a healthy, living, thriving system, it is a threat to the health of the whole. Why imagine that our economy is any different?
Heck. So what is this TED Talk called?
It is called A Healthy Economy Should Be Designed to Thrive, Not Grow. Kate Ranworth.
Heck.
Yeah, it's really good. Talking about sort of things we can do to be less driven purely by money and more for the greater good in a cooperative, distributive and regenerative way that supports everyone rather than supporting people who want money.
Listen to all this hippie nonsense.
I'm a big hippie.
I know. You're turning me into a big hippie too. It's all good. You're corrupting me with all these things of, oh, we should all love each other.
We should.
I feel all connected to the world. Have you watched anything else?
No, that's all the things I've watched.
That's all the things I've watched. How are you doing today?
I'm well disappointed, right?
Why are you disappointed?
Well, apparently it's like Pride Month means like all the gays and the queers and all that stuff. They're going on about being all proud and stuff. Like, when's our Pride Month?
Oh,
when's straight pride, eh?
Are we not allowed to be proud?
We're not allowed to be proud.
Mark Kidd drew a really nice painting today. Am I not allowed to be proud, Mark
No,
Kidd?
not allowed to be proud. Not allowed to be proud to
I
be
baked a
straight or white or anything.
I baked a really good cake, and am I not allowed to be proud about Mark Kidd?
No, can't be proud of knitting, can't be proud of what hair you've got, or if you've got hair, you can't be proud of what you had for dinner. You only gay people are allowed to be proud of anything, and I think it's just no.
Well, what about, can we, like, hire a gay person in to be proud of stuff for us? Is that what we're meant to do?
No,
No.
apparently my brain's melted because I'm too straight and
Oh, no.
boring and hateful.
Oh, no, I'm melting from our lack of... Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm into...
I've collapsed from bigotry.
Oh, no. Bigotry's a melting thing. Bigotry's a melting thing.
Apparently bigotry causes you to melt. Too much Junjiito. The Dissolving Bigot. Now there's a Junjiito book I'd read. You okay, on?
I think we're going to leave that laughing in now.
I'll certainly stick it in there somewhere.
Yes, that's why we do these kids. We make each other laugh. That's what we're doing.
That's literally the whole point of the show.
Oh, how are you doing today, Kitty?
My soul is black and dark, and I am sad and despondent of all the things.
Oh, poor puppy. Do you need a cuddle?
No, too many feelings. Everything inside is black. To touch me would be to cover yourself in the slick oil that coats me, for I am filled with sadness and pain and darkness.
How about the catnip banana?
I'm a straight edge kitty. No, I don't do the cat drugs. It's your generation pushing all the drugs on us. If you're not trying to stop us from being one thing, you're trying to get us to be quiet and sit down. We won't do it, man, because we're not gonna be like the man from the previous generation or, non-binary person in authority. Man.
You seem you're not with it today, Kitty. I guess you don't want this food I have in my hands, then.
Mummy food, meow.
Is someone feeling better now there's food involved?
Mummy food, rub face on mummy, my mummy. No other person, mummy, my mummy.
Okay, there's the food. So, what have you been putting in your ears?
In my ears?
Your ears!
My ears! Well, I've not really had a lot of time for things outside of what we listened to while we were out dancing away, and I wasn't really in any great state of face to be remembering names of tracks, and it was one of the only times I've been to that event and not sat there and looked at
the list of
the set list.
Yeah, I was the same this time, actually. Every time we've gone to this event before, I've had a look at the set list.
Who's on when and where?
Yeah, and this time we just kind of didn't. We just meandered around and were like, whatever we hear, we will hear.
Yeah, there was some excellent techno, there was some really nice drum and bass, some good jungle at one point.
That jungle stuff at the end of the night was... I very much enjoyed that, with the weird man who looked like he wasn't real.
That was dubstep. That was all.
Oh
dubstep.
No, that was the dubstep man, was it?
That was the weird dubstep man who was very, very sort of lean, muscly, and he had a strobe light on him and a green light directly above him, and his shirt off. and he was doing this thing where he sort of crawled up onto the mixing desk between sort of dropping
He
tracks.
was like locking into positions. He looked like he was a hologram.
He was sort of doing pop. Yeah, I don't think the green really helped with that. And the strobe made him look like he had quite a low frame rate. So it was a bit sort of Grudge meets Snake Man.
I kept going back and forth, being like, "It's like that's a very realistic hologram. No, that's a real person. No, it's a hologram. No, it's a person."
You were doing quite a lot of that night, because I remember right near the beginning of the night, the guy in the main room near the bar. You said he looked. You and Tor said he looked like some kind of puppet man. But I did that at that other event we used to go to at the Camden Centre. When
yes.
it was at Jack's in London Bridge. When I first started going, I thought the guy behind the mixing was some kind of puppet or animatronic.
Considering he never leaves.
He barely moves. He never leaves the booth to do anything.
I would have thought he was a fake person if you hadn't told me he was a real human.
I've heard stories of other people who have thought similar things and sort of just gone up and poked him. And this strange old man with a big toothy grin sort of leans around. Oh, hi.
I remember the music was very good when we went out on Friday night.
We listened to lovely music, but I couldn't tell you what
couldn't
any of
tell
it
you
was.
If we'd thought about it, we could have looked up the set list afterwards and been like, "Oh, it's probably this what we listened to."
I was in no state of face to be doing things like that by the end of the night.
Yeah. So, have you listened to anything outside of that?
I have. I listened to my my Just For You. Thanks very much from Spotify. Sadly, I haven't had time to check the lyrics, so I apologise if there's anything problematic in here. But it was all death metal and metal this week. I don't know why. Some of it quite angry sounding Russian or German metal, or German metal.
You've really convinced Spotify that you like
don't know
foreign
why.
metal.
I quite like Rammstein, but I've not had any of that recommended to me. So Angus McFife, Glory Hammer.
Okay.
It's some quite nice metal that I quite enjoyed, with some nice guitaring and so forth. Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. Like I say, apologies if there's anything awfully problematic with either the artist or the song. But what I heard of it in a cursory listen, I really rather enjoyed. Heck, what about you?
I really enjoyed a track called Never Afraid by MC Lars. Featuring Watsky, who I've mentioned on here before, and Charlene Yee. So this is a rap song about books as a way to pass stories between generations. Like, it's a really positive rap about how the stories that we're told keep the people who told them alive with us, and the great morals that books can teach, and how they help us develop when you're growing up. It was just a really wholesome rap track about books. Books are really heckin' good. Read some fiction books. Learn about them, you know, of mice and men and stuff. Learn about all these books.
I enjoy books. I've never read of Mice and Men though.
I had to read it for school. It's a perfect book for like teaching GCSE level English, because it's very heavy-handed with its like parallels and symbolism, which helps to teach kids like that's what these things are.
I was in the bottom class. I wasn't allowed to learn things like that. We got an in spectacles, which they felt was much more simple and easier for them.
That was one of the two books that like randomly we could have one or the other.
The good class, the posh class that was sort of 2 doors down from us, they got to do Macbeth and Kill a Mockingbird. And a few other sort of...
I honestly think there's more you can get out of Inspector Calls in a modern literary context.
Was the other one they made us read.
Yeah. Of Mice and Men is the only one I remember reading at school. I'm sure we read other things. I remember of Mice and Men, 2 people, they go work on a farm, everything goes a bit wrong. There's parallels between one of the main characters and a dog, and there's also a creepy man who wears a glove full of Vaseline because he's a sex predator.
Ah.
Yeah,
I was going to say, was that the sex predator one or the racial one?
No, this is the one with the sex predator who keeps his hand permanently in a Vaseline glove to, like, make it as soft and slimy as possible, because he's a fucking sex pest.
I think you can do that without being a sex pest.
Continuously wear a Vaseline glove and then talk about all of the ways you're going to touch people with your new Vaseline hand.
You didn't mention that bit previously.
I hoped that by saying he wears a Vaseline-filled glove and is a sex pest, that you would understand.
Well, that's what I meant. Like,
But
but what I was saying was, without he says these things to people. Like, you can do those things without being a sex
Yes,
pest.
but he was also a sex pest. He was creepy as fuck.
Lovely.
Yeah. What else have you listened to?
I listened to a track called Wishmaster by Van Canto.
How was that?
It was also very good.
Was that more metal?
It was more metal. It was a bit more melodic than some of the other stuff that's being recommended to me. It was all very aggressive this week, and I was like, I'm just feeling much more chill. So more of the chill thing, please.
I'll see if I can find you any chill ones in my recommendations this week.
Yeah.
The next one on my list isn't super chill.
Okay, well, what you got?
I got a track called The Tito Beltran Massacre by fucking Werewolf Asso.
Uh-huh.
It's an infectiously high energy, like high speed rock track.
Okay.
But like the guitar, the very fast, very upbeat guitar is almost underlaid with like 8-bit electro
Ooh.
undertones to it.
That sounds good.
And it's paired with like very screamy like rock metal vocals. There's nothing quite like it. It's like screamy metal vocalist over upbeat, fast, poppy guitar and electro 8-bit stuff. It's like really weird.
Kill.
I'll
have to give that a listen.
There's definitely nothing else quite like the Tito Beltran Massacre. Right, you got anything else on your list?
No.
Right, I'll rattle through a couple more songs then. So, I've got Depression, which is by the Homeless Gospel Choir. I've talked about this guy before. He is,
It's very good.
homeless, one man and a guitar, and literally he just goes around busking, playing shows, and like that's his whole living. This particular track talks about the artist. It talks a lot about him losing track of old friends, talking about those friends that he lost as the sort of people who would insist he needed to go get a normal job and be a bit more normal. It pairs really nicely with his track Normal, which is a song about like, hey, why would you want to be normal? Being weird is really freaking awesome.
Yes.
So yeah, he's singing a lot about like the kind of people that he lost because they wanted him to be normal, and he sort of disagrees repeatedly in the song and talks about how this time next year he hopes he's weirder, not more normal.
Nice.
Which I'm really on board with that sentiment.
Same.
So yeah, on top of that, he just kind of sings about depression, about fear of being himself, feelings of being alone and isolated. He touches on some like heavy stuff, like he talks about he feels lucky to have made it to his 30s alive. He talks about that a bit in this song. He talks about fearing death. He talks about fearing not moving on in life. Yeah, there's just like a lot of heavy stuff that he talks about lyrically in this track, but it's very optimistic tonally in terms of the music. Like, there's a lot of these things about like leaving behind the people that made him feel this way. He wants to feel happy. It builds into quite like a defiant, powerful track where his vocals get more intense, and you get the sense by the end that he's not going to let the people who made him feel that way dictate how his life goes. It's just like, it's a really nice arc from like depression through to fuck no, I'm not going to let you dictate my life.
Heck yeah.
Which is nice, yeah. I was very into it. There was also a track called Miss Messenger by a band called Bleach Blonde. I don't know if this track is meant to be a track about trans people, but I got a very... what's the first track on Transgender Dysphoria Blues? Is it called Transgender Dysphoria Blues? I think.
Talking transgender dysphoria. Blues.
So that opening track from that Against Me album, it feels very similar to that in that its opening lines feel like it's singing at a trans person that they're not a proper person of that gender, and then the song subject singing back defiantly like, no, I'm not gonna let you make me feel that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
I
sort of
didn't get that from the bit you'd written down. I was like, this sounds kind of transphobic.
there is definitely, like, the opening lines are sung from a perspective that sounds transphobic, but the impression that I got of the song, and feel free to, like, I don't know the history of this band well enough to know if this is accurate, it felt like the rest of the song was, like, in defiance of that line. So, I will read that opening line, and, like, if this is not a thing you want to hear in music, that's totally fine. Your entire life is a fetish, you got the looks, but you ain't got the mechanics, which is very, very, like, oh, that's fucking tough rhetoric right there. But it's like femme vocalist punk angry rock. It just feels... It feels like at least to me, it felt like it was an angry punk rock song by a female vocalist screaming into the face of transphobes.
Yeah.
That was the read I got on it anyway. So yeah, that's everything I listened to.
Hello and welcome to another British educational information film brought to you on behalf of Advisory Information Films.
Today, we are going to be telling you about a new invention we have been hearing a lot of buzz about. They're called headphones.
It's interesting you say buzz, for they do have a buzz feature.
Indeed. As I understand, these new headphones are a manner by which you can take a telephonic device and attach them to your head. Not just one, but two. Put one on each ear.
Indeed, with one on either side, you can communicate with more people at once than ever before.
Indeed, and if you wish to be on a conference call, they're close enough together, you can put on the speaker function and they can hear each other and then you're in the conference call.
Indeed, it's just like being in the conference room.
Headphones, the new technology everyone is raving about.
You know, there's already a thing called, like, headphones.
What?
Yeah, like, they're just, like, listening to music and stuff. Like, just music comes through, they're called headphones.
It's not a form of fashioning phones to your head.
I mean, like, sometimes they will have, like, a microphone inbuilt, so, like, you can do phone calls and stuff, but they're not literally phones on your head.
Well, I suppose that's another information film we've got to scrap in the vault.
Indeed. Perhaps we shall use another thing, or we could just get rid of this one, since he does seem to be causing us confusion. Get off me!
Anyway, headphones, the new technology everyone's raving about.
Everybody is raving about the new headphones.
Everybody. You're a very badly behaved woman. You forget to put the toothpaste tube back. Yeah, you're naughty.
You like it when I leave my hairbrush full of hair on the side in a bathroom, or when I brush my teeth on the toilet.
Oh, you should take my clothes off, cause underneath there, that's raw naked person, that is.
Yeah, it is. I want to get on top of you and roll around till I sweat a lot, yeah?
I'm gonna burp and not turn my face away, cause I'm just bad like that.
Oh, you are so naughty. You deserve to be financially penalised for your naughtiness and badness and this is really turning me on.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we're good at sexy talk, right?
So good at sexy talk.
So good at
I'm
sexy talk.
gonna beat you with this celery. Beat you till you've got celery bruises on you.
I'm gonna touch down there.
Oh yeah, you touch those toes.
Oh,
I haven't washed my feet in a few days.
Oh, you're absolutely filthy, you are.
I am. I've been wearing the same socks for a while.
Fuck.
Hey.
So, is it time for them questions?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some big news. I think we should probably not get that out of the way. Okay, so
I think we should with that really big news. I think we should wait till later.
Okay, yeah. Well, I suppose we could. No, we'll leave it.
Well, what if we? Nah, we'll leave it.
Good plush friend wants to know. We have questions now, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leap into that.
Questions.
Good plush friend, which is a great name. Good plush friend. Nice stroke. Best breakfast sandwich.
Oh, I'm gonna go really simple.
Sausage bap.
I'm gonna go like sausage bap, little bit of ketchup. If you're feeling really, really fancy, maybe when you're like frying up the sausages in the frying pan, fry them in a little bit of sweet chili sauce. Just like a little bit so that it's a little bit coating them. Then, just drizzle some ketchup in, sausage bap. What about you?
Okay, just assume that everything I say now is preceded by the word vegan. I'm just going to say it how it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's based on something I used to eat years ago, but it's been moved from extra thick sliced bread into a wrap, because I'm big on my wraps now. Take yourself a sausage, a couple of slices of, probably Cheatin' bacon. Fry both of those in a little bit of peri-peri sauce. Get yourself a couple of hash browns, getting away in the oven, and then cook yourself up some scrambly eggs, or eggs in the scrambly style. I recommend vegan egg, or I think it's hyphenated between the two. Because it's probably the most egg-like one that I've seen.
It scrambles well as well.
Yeah, it takes a really long time to cook, but it's weird because while it's still hot, very often it doesn't look like it's done, and then suddenly you take it off and go, now it has turned into proper egg stuff. But then you shovel that in a salad wrap with a little bit of peri-naise. And then roll it all up together.
That sounds pretty great.
Yeah, it's kind of based on the heart attack sandwich that I used to eat when I was a bigger compulsive eater than I am now. Bigger in every sense, quite literally. So would have been about 17, and probably about 32, 33 stone at the time, and that was an entire pack of sausages, an entire pack of bacon, 6 eggs, all together on the thickest possible toast you can get. I think Hovis used to do like an extra thick toast that was about half to sort of 3/4 of an inch thick, and you do it on normal bread. You don't like hard fry the eggs either. You've got to get them a little bit squishy so it all melts when you bite into it. And you put that with daddy sauce on one side and Thousand Island dressing on the other. I mean, it is well called the heart attack sandwich.
I'm trying to picture myself consuming that, and I'm like, could be like 4 days.
I won't take 2 of those in the same day. Like I say, I had an eating problem.
You were once there was once more of you there.
Considerably.
I can't imagine how you would
prove it.
fit that in you now.
I don't know if I could. I would probably puke if I tried to eat that much now. But yeah, those are good sandwiches.
What's the next question?
Lauren Carroll wants to know, what's your dream holiday destination?
Ooh, so I can't tell you the place, but I can tell you the kind of thing that I would love to do. So, from what I'm aware, Bali is not a terribly great country for trans people to go to. Which is like why I'm not going to say Bali itself, but I want to find a place that like matches
all the Bali stuff.
That matches
without the transphobia.
Okay, so what I went on a family holiday to Bali years and years ago now, and what I remember of this holiday was all-inclusive food and drink in a place where, like, you could walk 5 minutes and be on the beach. There was a swimming pool where you could swim up to the bar and still be sat in the water of the swimming pool on, like, little in-the-water benches while you had drinks from the bar that was in the pool.
Fancy wet
bar. Yeah, and it was just swim around in the sun, enjoy the sun and the heat and the water, and have some drinks and some food and just be very chill. I'm like, that sounds good to me. And, you know, maybe somewhere that you could do that, but also go for, like, some day trip adventures to go see a thing. And then some, like, at least half of that trip just spend soaking in some nice weather and just being like, oh yeah, be lazy together. That sounds good to me.
It does.
How about you?
You said ideal, it doesn't have to be realistic. So, either the Imaginarium from the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Obviously, Terry Gilliam is an awful person, but still, there was some quite nice high fantasy in that film. Alternatively, maybe the Shire from Lord of the Rings. So I guess New Zealand would probably do quite nicely.
Having been to New Zealand, it's pretty great. And New Zealand is also, like, fairly okay to trans folks, so,
and queer folk.
Yeah, they're pretty, like, queer.
They're
LGBT.
queer to pleasant strangers. Pleasant to queer strangers.
Pleasant to queer strangers. Having been to New Zealand, like, I've got family out there. Like, there's people we could go stay with, probably.
Yeah.
The things I remember really enjoying about going to New Zealand, there was a lovely place, I think it's called Rotorua, where they had, like, these lovely thermal hot springs that was so nice. I went bungee jumping out there. That was pretty great.
Nice.
There's a lot of lovely countryside to explore. Lovely weather. New Zealand's good.
I'd like to go to New Zealand. I've got family out there, but they're, my family, so they won't talk to me whether I go there or not.
Right, what's next on the list?
Bethany Turner would like to know what kind of cat smudges. I would say the best kind.
What is that pattern called? A calico? I think. I'm gonna Google this now.
I don't. Just a cutie purry floof.
Yeah. Okay, so she's a calico, which is one of those types where they're like white and black and brown splodges of varying
White tummy,
kinds.
white legs, and then sort of black and brown splodges on top.
Yeah. Spotted or partly coloured coat is predominantly white with patches of two other colours. It's sometimes called a tortoise shell.
Okay.
Tortoise shell is the kind. Apparently they're like very frequently female. Is that a thing? Male calico cats do exist, but it's 1 in 3,000. So they're pretty much exclusively female cats. Which is a thing I never knew until I googled that then.
There we go. We've
But-
learned a thing.
Yeah, she's a calico.
She's
or a
the best
tortoise
kind of
shell.
kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the snoogly kind.
Felis furry cutie floof.
She's the kind that likes food.
Untold Omen would like to know, what about breakfast at Tiffany's?
If you're paying and want to get me a taxi out there, then sure, breakfast at Tiffany's.
I will not eat shiny charms out of a lamp, is all I can say about that. Here Anderson would like to know, how do you feel about horror? Do you enjoy horror literature? And what are some pieces of horror that have stuck with you?
I enjoy...
What's still traumatising you?
I sometimes enjoy horror.
Hmm.
I have enjoyed horror things in the past. Like, I very much enjoyed Until Dawn, which is a good horror game. I enjoyed the first Saw movie quite a lot. The rest of that series just was like gore for gore's sake. I have to be in the right mood. Sometimes I will start watching a horror thing and go, this makes me feel too tense and uncomfortable. I'm going to just Wikipedia it and find out how it ends so that the tension's gone and then I can watch it. I'm not always in a mood where I can take the tension, but I sometimes can and enjoy so. What about you?
I used to collect horror movies, specifically like B movies. I had like a whole collection of drama movies. I had the first 3 House movies, the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets. I used to read a lot of Clive Barker. I don't know if all of that would necessarily be considered horror, but was a big fan of even the sort of kids' book stuff like The Thief of Always, which is a really good book.
You know what?
Rumour was they were going to make a film of that. I don't know if it ever happened.
You know what books always creeped me out as a kid? The Goosebumps books.
Never read those.
There
They
was-
a bit after my time.
There was something like genuinely unsettling about the way they did horror because they had to be not reliant on blood and gore and murder. They ended up doing stuff that was like far more unsettling and creepy imagery where it's like, no, we're not gonna like viciously murder them. They're just gonna get like dragged away into the darkness by a bunch of mannequins and never seen again, as you just get descriptions like all the hands all over their eyes and then nothing. Just nothing.
I'm a big fan of Silent Hill. I have. I like the Silent Hill movie, especially the Restless Dreams fan edit. I enjoyed Lone Survivor, which is monumentally creepy in its own way.
I watched the horror the early to mid 2000s horror movie House of Wax, purely because the end credits had "Vampires Will Never Hurt You" by My Chemical Romance was the end credits tune. That was an alright horror film.
I liked the Haunting on Hill House, the Haunting on Hill House, the House on the Haunted Hill. Like some of the old black and white stuff, the original version of Little Shop of Horrors with very young Jack Nicholson in it. Some of the old Hammer stuff, bits with Vincent Price and Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, like proper old classic horror. And I quite like low budget horror as well, because I think when people are forced to work within certain constraints, it makes it more interesting, which is why, like you said, Saw, the first Saw, basically played as a two-hander, is just really tense in its own way.
Yeah, it's like that first film was a really good film because of its limitations. Like, occasionally they did like the gruesome trap stuff to set the stakes, but most of it was, you are chained up, get out.
Yeah, and the interaction between those two people.
Yeah, watching those two people become the villains to each other. Yeah, that first film was good.
I've watched, I think, everything but Jigsaw and I'm sure I've watched 7. I don't know if 7 was the last.
I think it was 7, then Jigsaw. I think.
Okay, so I've seen everything except for Jigsaw.
Yeah, I've watched them and like I want to go back and watch the first one again at some point.
Yeah, love a bit of horror. Yeah.
People should know you like a bit of horror because you do a very good Vincent Price voice.
I try to do a little bit of Vincent Price now and again.
I do like horror, particularly like Clive Barker stuff. Love Clive Barker books. Have or had most of them at some point. Even the non-horror-y stuff, which in many ways, because of Clive's love of the dark, the strange, and the sort of BDSM stuff. Cabal, or the movie Nightbreed, absolutely amazing. That, perhaps it's another one of those, the human beings with the horror all along. But the darkness, the creature design stuff, that was all really cool, and I very much like those bits.
What's next?
What advice would you give someone who is asking for some advice?
I would advise them to work out what they want advice on so that they can ask the question they want advice on rather than a question about what advice should we give without an actual question.
I would give them advice that was relevant to the sort of advice that they were looking for.
Indeed. Yeah. Next question.
Luna Faye Quinn would like to know, if you had to pick a recipe to convince someone to go vegan, what would it be?
Your vegan chocolate cheesecake.
See, that was my first thought. And then I thought to myself, person cannot live by vegan chocolate cheesecake alone.
But here's the thing. For me, at least, I'm like, meals, generally your meals are like, okay, this is what sustains me, that's fine, this is sustenance.
Yes.
Treats are where it's like, my body is craving a thing that it just really wants, and if this craving is not hit, then I'm going to be sad. And that's why I answer the chocolate cheesecake, because that's one where it's like, this is a really good replacement for a thing that I quite often craved. Like, this proves, hey, outside of just, you can make a meal that has, like, pasta and nice sauce and soy chunks as replacement for meat and some veg. The vegan chocolate cheesecake is the one that got me, where I was like, did not expect this.
See, like I was saying, I mean, that would be, like, that was my first thought, like, definitely that one, because it shows people that it's not all twigs and grass.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other thing, the thing that then sort of made me think further than that is, you can't just live on desserts all the time, much as I may want to. I'm looking at you, Tummy. Like, you need more sort of staple foods. So I would have probably slid on to my lasagna, which is fucking awesome.
Oh, that lasagna.
Especially the way I do it with the garlic bread bagels.
Oh, yeah, garlic bread bagels.
Or one of my curries, maybe, because I've got quite a good
If
curry.
we could do a short list, I'd go that lasagna with the garlic bread bagels, one of your curries maybe, maybe a nice pad thai.
Ooh, yeah, the student pad thai. Yeah.
That student pad thai, the vegan chocolate cheesecake, and then I might just do like a snacky selection platter where it's like, okay, here's just
Oreos and
Skittles and some salt and vinegar McCoys,
spicy Doritos.
yeah, like just do a little platter in the corner that's like, here's a bunch of nibbly bits, here's a nice dessert, and here's like 3 main meals.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with that is just going, here are all the things that you can still eat.
Yeah.
That are commercially available in pretty much any supermarket.
Yeah. For me,
and
that
is nice.
For me, that was the thing, is like finding common things that you can find in any supermarket that I really like and go, oh, I can still have this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, salt and vinegar McCoys was a really big one recently. Like, oh heck, I can still have those.
Up until last year, I would have said jammy Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because everybody likes jammy Dodgers. And until, I think, the end of last year, they just put whey powder in them for the new improved recipe. I can't tell if it's improved it in any way, but jammy Dodgers have always been fucking lush, so, you know, why me for it? So that would be those things.
What's next?
Becky Toothhill would like to know, what do you wish people would ask you but they never do?
Tough question. You got an answer ready?
It's probably a bit depressing.
Go on, I'll do the depressing one and then I'll try and lighten us up afterwards.
Sometimes I think the genuine rather than the more casual, how are you doing?
Yeah, like
because there is a difference between, hey, how you doing? Which the answer is, yeah, I'm good.
Alright, yeah.
As opposed to the sit down, look you in the eye and just go, how are you doing? Oh fuck. Now I have to think about my life.
To try and turn the mood slightly, as I promised I would, now I'm like,
Told you it was dark.
It's all good. I wish people would ask me, like, in-depth questions about, like, the weird stuff that I'm, like, obsessively interested in sometimes, because, like, there are things that, like, I am far more interested in than anyone around me, and, you know, this is getting a bit of a depressing answer as well, isn't it? You know, there are things that I have obsessive interests in that I don't really know people around me who are as obsessively interested in, and I'm like, a bit of me sometimes wishes, like, hey, someone would ask me about, like, Season 1 and 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Related minutiae. Or, like...
Not having seen it myself, I mean, I've asked you about Yu-Gi-Oh! A few times.
Oh, indeed.
You are a constant font of useful Yu-Gi-Oh! Information.
It's one of those things that, like, I don't know how it would have to be asked, but, like, in a way that, like, I wouldn't feel like I was being a burden to be like, I'm just gonna spout for an hour about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Spout away, dear. I like it when you gush at me. Jesus Kun would like to know... Bees?
The bees!
I would say yes, please, more of those, because they're dying off.
Bees?
And we're all going to starve without them.
What's next on the question list?
Did you not have a bee?
I just bees.
Yes, please.
I respond with the clip of what's his face from The Wicker Man shouting about bees. Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage was not in The Wicker Man.
He was in the remake of The Wicker Man, wasn't he? Was he in the Wicker Man remake?
La 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 la. Never remade The Wicker Man. La 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 la.
Hey, that remake is terrible, but there is a great scene about bees. They fill his mask with bees. He screams about bees.
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 Some would like to know, is there a game you play to unwind from work or other games?
So, we need to set this up here, because the one for the longest time that I used to do was Guitar Hero. Because
play Guitar Hero in ages.
I can get very into, like, a good zen headspace for Guitar Hero.
I used to play a lot of Guitar Hero on PS2.
Which ones have you got here? Which Guitar Heroes are
Guitar Heroes
best?
I have here because
Yeah.
I foolishly upgraded from the PS2 to the Wii. And I didn't realise... I was like, yeah, I'll get... was it Guitar Hero Classics or Legends, I think? It was basically like an amalgam of the first two. And I got it on Wii, and I was like... I sold off my PS2 guitars and the PS2 copies because I was trying to get more Wii games.
Yeah.
And then I found out that actually they've changed all the button prompts on the Wii version. So it was like, I used to be brilliant at, Avenged Sevenfold.
Do you have 3 on the Wii?
I think I've got 3 Legends, Classics, and World Tour.
And have you got more than one controller?
I've got 2 guitars. Oh, I've got Rock Band as well, and I've got the Rock Band drums.
Oh, in that case, that's my answer. It's a very good game to like zen out to.
Oh.
Should we try and do some of that this weekend?
Do we really have a free weekend?
I think we do. Well, I've got to do E3 in the evenings. The weekend you're listening to this,
Holy fuck, we've got a free weekend!
Yeah, I know. So this weekend, I've got to work. I've got to cover the E3 press conferences Saturday and Sunday night. But during the daytime, up until dinner time, I'm free.
Nice.
Should we do some Guitar Hero?
Heck yeah!
Heck, that's our answer, question asker.
There we go. Well, I mean, I had.
Oh yeah, what's yours?
Really simple things like simple, mindless, repetitive, or like easy puzzle games. I play threes a lot.
Oh.
I do. I've got a Sudoku game on my phone. It used to be my sort of like 5 minutes before bed. Get in bed, do a couple of Sudoku, and just pass out.
Yeah.
The other thing that I used to really zen out to was Minecraft.
Oh.
I could easily just lose a whole day just mining. And there's no great gameplay involved in that. It's like, I have gathered resources. Bye!
Peggle
Peggle's
is a good one for that.
Yeah. Puzzle games, like games where you're just building jigsaw puzzles.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of less digital based. I'm quite happy to. I find Lego quite relaxing.
Yeah, same.
I suppose the same way that you find Gundam's quite relaxing. Like, there's instructions, you can sit there and just do the thing, and at the end of it you have something cool looking. But the other thing with Lego is you can sit there and go, I want to do all the things, which is kind of why I've been looking at organising drawers, because I have something like 20 litres of Lego downstairs.
So
and it's easier to cope with and less overwhelming than just going, here's 20 litres of Lego in a paddling pool.
While I agree with you, there is a lovely switch off your mind joy to just sifting through the paddling pool of Lego and just like, I'll find a thing and make a thing. It'll be great.
I also think I'm going to have a slightly, probably strange to other people, but I quite like the idea of just sitting down and organising those boxes.
I'm really into that too, and I could definitely get behind that. That'd be a very separate activity to playing with it, though.
Yeah, definitely. But I think there would be something like really strangely satisfying about organising that much Lego.
If we put on like a podcast that we both hadn't listened to yet that we both like, we could totally sit and just like organise Lego for a bit.
Or we could start listening to Balance again from the beginning.
I'm literally listening to the finale of Balance today.
Okay, well, maybe if there's enough of the new arc, the Amnesty arc, that we could probably sit down for 6 hours and just. Anyway, last one. This came in after the end of our time. You know what? I'm gonna let it happen. Justin Stewart would like to know, what food do you think your favourite game character would like to receive as a gift? Ignoring whatever they already as canon like. So you couldn't say chili dogs for Sonic.
Okay, so my favourite game character, my gut instinct is to say Link. So, what food would I give Link? I would give Link... Link grew up in a secluded forest where they...
Possibly, depending on which Link.
Okay, I'm picturing Ocarina of Time Link grew up in the Kikiri forest. Because they grew up in a forest, I'm picturing them as a vegan, so I'd bring them that vegan chocolate cheesecake and go, hey, here you go, Link. Expand your food horizons. It's not all twigs and grass, Link.
That's awesome. Whenever I think of Ocarina of Time Link, I always think bun. I would eat a bun. Because whenever he holds up the fairy ocarina, it looks like a tiny bun. Da 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 da, I'm holding a bun. I guess, like, recently I've had a bit of a takeover, because my favourite character used to be Link. Now, I kind of think it's Linkle.
Here's the thing. Linkle is a better character, but I have less emotional investment because they've not had a chance to have their own story.
Yeah, we've not been on the same adventures together, but we have been on some adventures. And she marshalled all the cuckoos to save the Deku Tree, and that's pretty damn good in my arrangement.
So what you feeding Linkle?
I probably hang out and eat popcorn balls. I think that's popcorn.
That's a popcorn.
Yeah, because it's lightweight, so you can still get your action on if you need to break out the dual crossbows and bombs and start kicking some ass. So, popcorn with Linkle, and then hanging out and saving the day, maybe.
Heck.
Yeah. I'll get my Lady Link cosplay on. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brocial justice, brocial justice, brocial justice, brocial justice, brocial justice, brocial justice, warriors! And stuff.
Oh, how are you doing today?
I'm not too bad, Larry. How you doing?
I'm doing good today. You anything been on your mind today?
Well, much the same as usual, the general social issues that go on in the world, but the one that's really been rather annoying me is that the fact that we're not investing in fact, if anything, we seem to be rolling backwards away from renewable energy sources.
Oh no, yeah, that's proper terrible, isn't it? Because, here's the thing, we see a bunch of places in the world where there's actually, not so much an issue. Some countries in the world produce so much renewable energy, they've ended up having to pay people to use more energy because they're producing more energy than they can store.
Exactly.
If you invest properly in renewable energy, it is the gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
I just don't see why we're not making more use of it.
Well, exactly. It's better for the environment, but I think ultimately it comes down to capitalism, same as always.
Oh, indeed. These people who, lobby to have government not invest in renewable because their livelihood comes from used up energy.
The oil industry, there's the oil industry. America seems to be trying desperately to roll backwards towards coal.
I think it was, I was reading a story this week, and forgive me if I get the country wrong, I think it was Germany. Their entire rail network now is powered by electric power.
Certainly one of those northern European countries, I seem to remember.
It's one of them sort of European countries. Wind powers their whole rail network, which is funny to me because I just picture flying trains.
Yeah, but windy train,
windy
nice.
trains. But it's just proper good though. If you invest in that, that energy, once you recoup the cost of setting it up, it's just free power.
It is, and it's not like it avoids fossil fuels entirely because to create, fuel cells and so forth, things like that, there is a certain amount of petroleum-based product that can end up within that manufacturing process. But the more of fossil fuels we can leave in the ground and stop producing carbon and just basically trying to destroy the planet. I think it's these people that are trying to gather together as much money as possible while fucking over the world. They clearly don't care about anything, including whatever generation may come after them, whether it be their own children or anyone else's.
Oh,
it's all about how much money can I get and sit on for eternity.
Indeed. Well, here's the thing. It's not like, today, on a personal level, I can afford to invest in solar panels for a roof, but it's the thing, if I ever, come into some money, I'll totally invest some in some renewable energy, because...
Absolutely. I'd need a house first, to be honest.
Oh, exactly. Well, we need to be in a place we're not renting, obviously.
Exactly. Millennial culture. Who owns property?
Yeah, no. It's alright. We'll get solar panels, we'll just stick them out our window. We could probably do that as renters.
Probably, yeah. I know, and you can get those portable ones that go over a backpack and so forth that can be used for charging products as you walk around.
I've got one of them, and it unfortunately I had one. It unfortunately broke, but I did have one where you could use a solar panel to charge your phone. That was a really good investment.
That sounds pretty awesome, and this country certainly has a lot of wind, so more solar, more wind power. And even things like wind turbines have got more interesting looking. We've got the upright ones rather than the spinny fans, which people say are nicer to look at. And if anything, I'm told that those ones are actually more efficient. So it's all better for it. But
it's sad that capitalism is once again is stifling progress for the sake of more money for them.
Well, when we end up one day in a position of power in this country, we will invest in renewable.
Yeah, I think we'll probably need a glorious revolution before then, but
Indeed.
that's Thursday, right? We've got that organised.
Oh, if all works out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put a kettle on. Do you want a cuppa?
Yeah, pop the kettle on, we'll have a cup of tea.
Perfect. So, is this that bit where we end the show up?
It's our end bit, yeah. So it's been a thing, hasn't it?
It has been a thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we've forgotten anything.
No,
So
I don't think there's
let's-
any big thing we've been teasing.
No, we'll close the show up then. So Laura, where can we find you?
You can find me at Laura K Buzz pretty much everywhere. Laura K Buzz on Twitter, Laura K Buzz on YouTube. You can find me at kotaku.co.uk Monday to Friday 9 to 5. You can also find me on Dice Funk, which is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast. I'm on seasons 3 and 4. They're all self-contained seasons, so if you want to hear the bits with me in, you can start listening to season 3 or season 4, and then there's some more seasons that I'm not in that you should go back and listen to. What about you?
I can be found on stonemonkeyradio.blog, which I keep forgetting to mention. I recently put up my High Rules Warriors Definitive Edition review, and I can also be found as Jane Aerith Magnet on SoundCloud, where you might be listening to this, and Maniac Janiac on Twitter and YouTubia.
Lovely. Well, with that all said, until next time, be a stranger.
Oh yeah, no, we got engaged. didn't
Oh
we?
yeah, we did that thing.
Yeah, we did. You
Proposed to you on a hill.
You did propose to me on a hill in the sunshine. It was beautiful. I had a bit of a cry and a massive overwhelm for about 20 minutes. But we am back. And I hope you know that I am going to get you back.
How?
I'm also going to propose to you, as I had told you I was going to months ago. Yes, so there we go. You got in first. Sneaky piggy. Yes, there we go. Big news!
Hooray!